Liverpool suffered their first defeat in the season as they lost to Crystal Palace, but they still remain top of the bloody pops. Can they be there at the end of this week? We're going to get to that and much more next. That's right, folks, back once again with another video. Today we take a look at the Premier League. That's right, it's match number 7 with only one team remaining that is unbeaten. Who is that? Well, I'll tell you in a second. If you're new, where you been, smash your subscribe. You want some show for Blackburn Rovers, Premier League, whoa, football. We're going to all here under one rooski. That's right, Crystal Palace are the only unbeaten team left in the league. That's right, after they took advantage of a wonky kind of Liverpool. That's right. We'll showcase you that and more in a second. Big shout out to the members of the patrons. You know who you are, but of course, if you're new, hit the old subscribe. Let's get 50 to 100 likes on this video. I need your likes, guys. This is where the party's at. So get your likes in there, boost the channel. We are whimpering, we are labouring, we're struggling, and I need your help. So get involved there and like the channel, please. This is the Premier League. Of course, we're going to bring you back up to date with this. Of course, a recap of the results. My predictions on the left, the real deals on the right. And then I'll showcase you what we're down in the Super Brewski. Then here we go. Brentford picking up a 3-1 win over Manchester United. Good result for them. Manchester United, of course, continue to flounder. Meanwhile, Palace, 2-1 winners over Liverpool as predicted. That's right. This guy predicted. Chelsea, though, picking up a 3-1 loss at home to Brighton. Shambles FC. Leeds United with a 2-2 score against Bournemouth. Man City put 5 past Burnley. Thank you very much. 6 goals included. Burnley can count all of that on one hand. Forest with a 1-0 loss to Sunderland on the a big win for them on the road. Ange Ball not really setting off. Meanwhile, Spurs could only draw with Wolves 1-1. Villa with a 3-1 win over Fulham. Arsenal with a 2-1 win over Newcastle United, better late than never. And Everton and West Ham ended up all square 1-1 on the night. That's right. So, of course, the table looks like this. Liverpool top of the pops, 15 points for them. Arsenal are in second spot with 13. Crystal Palace, though, up there in third, with Spurs joining them in the top 4. Going down, Wolves, West Ham and Burnley at the moment. But it could all change with Nuno in charge at West Ham. Of course, Ange Ball at Nottingham Forest, who's next to go. You're looking at that. Unai Emery's in a bit of trouble. Eddie Howe, Ruben Amorim. Of course, Ruben Amorim is highly likely to be gone. Yeah, it's an interesting start to the campaign, but of course, it doesn't stop there. Neither does the Super Brew, of course. We're getting bang up to date with that. The link is on the screen right now, but of course, who is currently top of the pops? Well, kicking ass and taking names is Joachim Jakobsen with a 10.5 point haul there. He's joined with Junior and Prestel Hinterland with 8. Dirky Boy is somewhere in here somewhere. I don't know. There I am with 5.5. Doesn't really do much for me on the grand scheme of things, but of course it does look like a low scoring week in the prediction league. The current state of play in the table sees Ultra Omer top the charts with 61.5 points. Bit of a gap opening up to himself and Finley. Joachim Jakobsen up 16 points to number 3. And of course, I am all the way down to 15th, up 2 spots though, with that small points hole. Keeping an eye on Zip right there, and of course the chasing pack. But it could all change, of course, very, very soon as we head into another international break. But before that, we've got a week of action to be looking at. So get in there, get predicting. Still lots of points on the table, and of course you can still feature in the glory zones at the end of the season. So get ready, and of course get your picks out for these. Of course, we're going to start with a trip to Bournemouth coming at you on the 3rd of October, the Vitality Stadium. That's going to be Friday. Bournemouth under Andy Areola sits 6th right now, 11 points for their name, unbeaten the last 4, just one defeat in the last 6 against Fulham. Marco Silva there 11th with 8 points, of course. 3 wins out of the last 4 matches. They've taken on each other 13 times since 2010. 6 wins Bournemouth, 2 wins Fulham. There's been 5 draws. They last played at this venue. It was a 1-0 win for Bournemouth. Bournemouth on the back of that 2-2 score away to Leeds. Fulham losing to Villa most recently. Bournemouth hotly tipped by the bookies' odds on this one. It is, of course, the Scott Parker derby here. Going to go with a win for Bournemouth. That's right. Of course, they look good right now. They had a bit of an overhaul with their squad in the summer, but they brought in some really good replacements. And right now, they look a very awkward team to play against. Everyone expects to still beat them. But guess what? They come up here and they deliver the goods. Into Saturday's games, we go to Ellen Road. It's Leeds United. It's Leeds United. It's Tottenham at Ellen Road. Daniel Farker against Thomas Frank in the dugouts. Leeds United in 12th right now. 8 points for them. Just 1 defeat in the last 4. Up against Spurs and Tommy Frank. Unbeaten in at least the last 6 matches. But they have drawn 3 of the last 4. They sit 4th with 11 points. They played each other 31 times since 1993. 11 wins Leeds. 13 wins Tottenham. There's been 7 draws. They last played at Ellen Road. It was a 4-1 win for Tottenham back in May 2023. In fact, Spurs have won 4 in the bounce against Leeds, scoring 4, 8, 12, 16 goals in the last 4 matches against them. And they've scored 12 goals in the last 3. So they they're taking on Leeds. Leeds, they're picking up a 2-2 score at home to Bournemouth most recently. Spurs on the back of a 2-2 score away to Bodo Glimt. And that is a good result, a strong result, because Bodo Glimt Ain't no slouches. They don't take no prisoners up there. Of course, a bookies odds for this one. It is tight, very, very tight. Could go either way. Tottenham just edge it with the bookies. I think I'm going to go with a 2-1 win as well to end the campaign, or end this part of the season here for Spurs. In the winning zone. Meanwhile, Arsenal taking on West Ham and then at the Emirates, of course, all London affair. Mikel Arteta's boys are second with 13 points. They've unbeaten in the last 5. Up against West Ham under Nunes Espirito Santo, they're coming into in 19th spot with 4 points, of course, on the back of a draw this past match day. 61 times they have played since 1993. 39 wins for Arsenal, 11 wins for West Ham, 11 draws. They last played over at this venue. It was a 1-0 win for West Ham, goodness gracious me, back in February 2025. And the last 4 of these matches have ended up with the away side winning. Wow, wow, wee, wow. That's include 2 West Ham victories. So they ain't no slouches here, guys. But actually, West Ham have the edge over the last 6. They've won 3, lost 2, and they've drawn 1. Goodness gracious me. So the Hammers on the back of that 1-1 scoreline away to Everton. Arsenal with that cheeky lastminute.com winner over Newcastle United to make it back-to-back away wins. Of course, their first home match since that 1-1 scoreline against Manchester City. The bookies odds, of course, for this one. Arsenal favoured, of course, massively. Arsenal also in action against Olympiacos. I think Arsenal will win this, of course, and give Nuno his first defeat. And, of course, he's got to take it on the chin and fast. Meanwhile, Manchester United take on Sunderland, coming at Old Trafford. Is this the last game for Ruben Amorim, or will he somehow have a stay of execution heading into another international break? They're 14th right now, 7 points for them. They've won 2, lost 2 over the last 4. Up against Sunderland, Reggie Debris, unbeaten the last 4. They sit 5th with 11 points. They've taken on Manchester United 34 times since 1996. They've only won 4 of them. Manchester United have won 23 of them, and there's been 7 draws. They last played over at this venue. It was a 3-1 win for United back in December 2016. Manchester United winning 4 of the last 5 between these two sides. United, they won the back of the 3 loss to Brentford. Sunderland picking up that 1-0 away win to Forest. So this is actually back-to-back away wins for Sunderland because they make it back-to-back wins. They've only conceded 1 goal in the last 3 matches, have Sunderland. The bookies odds go with Manchester United. They're expected to win. I think I've gone with them as well. I think they should be winning this game. And, of course, if they do anything but a win, then maybe it's time to go. 2-1 winners for me. United should take it, but who knows? Chelsea taking Liverpool. That's a bit of a stargazer at the end of the day. At Stamford Bridge, Enzo Marquesca's boys are 8th right now. 8 points for them. 2 wins the last 3. Because Liverpool on Arnie slot, back-to-back defeats for them, but they do sit top of the table with 15 points. They played 89 times since 1993, 32 wins for Chelsea, 33 wins for Liverpool, 24 draws. They last played at this venue, 3-1 winners it was for Chelsea back in May 2025. Chelsea have only won once of the last 6. That was, of course, in the Premier League last time. Chelsea on the back of that 1-0 win over Benfica. Liverpool losing to Galatasaray and losing to Liverpool. This is their 3rd away match on the bounce. Could they come in 3s? It could very much come in 3s. The bookies odds for this one. Liverpool are favoured for the victory, of course, but I think if they do slip up, the door could open up here. I'm going to go with a 2-2 scoreline, which does open up the possibility of a new leader at the top of the table. Meanwhile, Aston Villa take on Burnley in the Old Claret Derby. This one's at Villa Park. Unai Emery's boys are 16th right now, 6 points for them, just 1 defeat in the last 5. Up against Burnley and the Scott Parker winless in the last 5. They're down to 18th with 4 points. They've taken on Villa 15 times since 2004. 7 wins Villa, 3 wins Burnley. There's been 5 draws. They last played over at Villa Park. It was a 3-2 win back in December 2023. In fact, Villa unbeaten against Burnley over the last 4, just 1 defeat against them in the last 6, and they're coming into this on the back of successive home wins. This will be their 3rd home, actually it won't be their 3rd home match because they got finalled to break up the dynasty of home matches. Burnley, though, on the back of that 5-1 loss to Manchester City. Of course, they did lose in the Cup to Cardiff as well. Bookies for this one will go with Villa. They should do because Burnley are inbreds. 2-0 winners. Villa take it to the house. Everton against Palace. That's right. Coming at the Hill Dickinson Stadium, where I think Everton are unbeaten, of course. But they're coming into this in a bit of wobbly form right now. Of course, they are 9th with 8 points, but they are winless in the last 4. Up against Crystal Palace, of course, unbeaten run right now. I think it's, I don't know, the longest run in Europe. But they won 4 of the last 5 coming into this. They sit 3rd with 12 points. Now, they played 34 times since 1994. 16 wins for Everton, 6 wins for Palace. Has been 12 draws. They last played at this over in Merseyside. It was a 2-1 win for Everton back in September 2024. In fact, Everton unbeaten against Palace over the last 6, picking up 4 wins and a couple of draws. Everton picking up a draw against West Ham last time around at this venue. Palace with that 2-1 win over the other side of Merseyside. 2-1 winners for Palace over Liverpool. Crystal Palace, looking at their agenda here, taking on Dynamo Kiev away in Europe. Not sure when that's been played. Of course, they're expected to win that game, and they're expected to lose this game. It's very tight between these two sides, so tight that they've got to sit on the fence here with a 1-1 scoreline. And Everton's run at their new place continues, as does Palace's. for the time being. Meanwhile, Newcastle United taking on Nottingham Forest, coming at you over at St James's Park. Eddie Howe's boys are 15th right now, 6 points for them. They won 2, lost 2, and drawn 2 over the last 6. Angers, Nottingham Forest, they sit 17th with 5 points, winless in the last 7 matches, and they've taken on Newcastle 22 times since 1994. 14 wins for the Geordies, 5 wins for Forest. There's been 3 draws. They last played at this venue, 7-goal thriller, 4-3 it was for Newcastle back in February 2025. Newcastle have won 4 in the bounce against them, and this seems to be a game with a lot of goals. I'm looking at 7, 10, 11, 14, 15, 16 goals in the last 3 matches. That's averaging over 5 goals a game. Forest, though, losing to Sunderland, most recently Aston with that 2-1 win over Newcastle last time around. Newcastle taking on St. Louis this coming match day in the Champions Lagos. But of course, that's a tricky game. They're expected to win that game. I don't think they will. I think they might even struggle in this game against the Nottingham Forest. Desperate for a result. Gone with a 2-2 scoreline. Point in the bag is better than nothing at this stage of the season for Ange. Final couple, Wolves taking on Brighton, coming out at the Molineux Stadium for Victor Pereira, sitting in 20th right now with just the 1 point. They are back-to-back games though without a loss up against Brighton under Fabian Hutzler, just 1 defeat in the last 6. They sit 10th with 8 points. They've taken on Wolves 30 times since 2002. 6 wins Wolves, 11 wins Brighton. There's been 13 draws. They last played at Molineux. 2 winners was for Brighton, who are unbeaten against Wolves over the last 3. They've actually only lost once against them in the last 6. Wolves are picking up a cheeky 1-1 scoreline against Tottenham, of course, following on from a 2-0 win over Everton. Meanwhile, Brighton on the back of successive away wins, beating Barnsley, beating Chelsea. Now, of course, taking on Wolves. This is the Molineux. Bookies odds for this one. Brighton are favoured. I think Wolves are desperate for a win. They need a result. I think I've got them winning this one. 1-0 win. Finally, get a big fat W. Hopefully start the season. And then finally we go to Brentford as Keith Andrews' Brentford, who are 13th right now, 7 points for them, just 1 defeat in the last 4. Up against Man City and Pep Guardiola, unbeaten in the last 5. They sit 7th with 10 points. They've taken on Brentford 8 times since 2021. 2 wins Brentford, 5 wins City. There's been 1 draw. They last played at Brentford. It was a 2-2 scoreline back in January 2025. Brentford on the back of that 3-1 win over United. Could they do the Manchester double? City, though, on the back of that 5-1 win over Burnley. They're also in action against Monaco tonight, our City. So looks like it's going to be back-to-back away matches for them. Bookies expect Manchester City to win. I think I've got them winning as well. 3-1 winners against Keith Andrews. Surely there's only 1 winner in that. And if I'm right, this is what the table will look like at the end of this match day as we head into an international break. We'll have a new leader. That's right. It'll be Arsenal top of the charts with Liverpool in 2nd spot. Spurs in 3rd. Bournemouth up to 4th. Going down, Burnley, West Ham, and Wolves. That's right. That is the state of play there. Get your predictions in using the link. Of course, keep me up to date with all your stuff down below. And of course, I'll bring you back up to date with my own stuff when we return. But until then, subscribe, smash the like. I'll catch you later. I'm done.